What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Boxing Scene and Michael Carpenter, who writes for The Athletic, are reporting that Adam Kownacki, who looks like the Michelin Man, by the way, will take on Robert Helenius in a rematch. As we know, Robert Helenius pulled out the upset of the year in the previous fight with Kownacki as he stopped Kownacki shockingly in the first half of that fight. Now, he was able to withstand the early barrage of Kownacki. Kownacki is a guy that don't mind taking 2 punches to land 3 punches. He believes he has an iron chin, but that iron chin got cracked when he fought Robert Helenius. Robert Helenius hurt him and was able to close the show and pull a shocking upset over the previously undefeated Adam Kownacki. So they're going to fight. They're going to be the co-main event, man. You know, I was thinking this fight was going to be on regular Fox, but I'm going to get to that in a minute, man. Fox is becoming more like FS1. The quality of fights that they're putting on guys that don't have a lot of high name recognition in the sport of boxing. Let me just put it to you like that. You know, they got the fight coming up June the 27th featuring David Morrell. This is like his 3rd time fighting on Fox or something. He's going to be the main event fighting some guy named Cazares. And I think Morrell even got a belt there. He won a belt in his last fight. I don't know if it was a major belt. It might have been an interim belt or a regular belt, but he's the champion. I believe at junior middleweight, if I'm not mistaken, at 154 pounds. I think he might have that same type of belt that Mario Barrios got, that regular WBA belt, man. But he got a belt, though. He won a title in his last fight. So let me just put it to you like that. So those are the level of fights that Fox is putting on. Long gone are the days of when you saw, you know, Keith One-Time Thurman fighting Sean Showtime Porter on Fox. That fight was like, 3 years ago? If I'm not mistaken, that fight was on Fox. Long gone are the days when you seen Jermell Charlo versus Tony Harrison 2. That was on Fox. I think Fox is pretty much more like FS1. And what's happening is guys like Gary Russell Jr. and Sean Porter and Keith Thurman and Jamal James and those guys, they're going to get thrown on pay-per-view fights as like co-main events or part of a pay-per-view card. I think that's what's happening. That's exactly what happened with Kownacki versus Helenius 2. And then they're throwing Ajagba-Sanchez versus Frank Sanchez. These are good fights, though. That's going to be the second fight on the pay-per-view card. And then you got Jared Big Baby Anderson versus TBA. Not TBE, but TBA. That means to be announced. So it's going to be an all-heavyweight pay-per-view card. That's going to lead me to believe that actually the next pay-per-view card that PBC is putting on is you got Errol Spence Jr. versus Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Wouldn't be a bit surprised if you see Gary Russell Jr. thrown on that card. You know, he's got a mandatory against, I think it's Ray Vargas, #1 mandatory contending the WBC for Gary Russell's belt there. You know, he's, featherweight? He's fighting at 126 pounds. Whoever's the #1 guy, I think it's Ray Vargas, if I'm not mistaken. Won't be a bit surprised that's thrown on the Errol Spence Jr., Manny Pacquiao, August 21st pay-per-view card. And again, like I mentioned earlier, Keith One-Time Thurman and Sean Showtime Porter. I'm hearing one of those two guys could possibly face Jamal James. Now, Jamal James is the WBC interim. My bad. He's the WBA interim welterweight champion. Now, he might get demoted. Well, yeah, he's WBA interim welterweight champion right now. We'll see what happens. Because right now, I think they're going to take Manny Pacquiao from recess Super WBA welterweight champion. They're going to reinstate him as the full Super WBA welterweight champion. And that for meaning that the regular WBA welterweight champion belt will go back down to Ordanis Ugas. And Jamal James, who was going to inherit that belt if he hasn't already inherited now, will be back being the interim WBA welterweight champion. And I'm hearing that he could face off against either Keith Thurman or Sean Showtime Porter. Now, they will probably put that fight as the co-main event for Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao versus Errol Spence Jr. That's what they got to do now because, like I said, you ain't going to see no Porter versus Thurman on no Fox no more. They've downgraded. I guess the purses that those fighters are demanding are just too expensive for the budget that Fox have put up for showing PBC fights on Saturday night. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But that's just me reading the tea leaves of what's going on with them putting Kownacki and Helenius as a co-main event for Wilder Fury 3. Because I thought that fight was going to be a main event on Fox. But for them to do that, that just lets you know that Kownacki, the purse that he's getting and the purse that Helenius getting, especially after he pulled the upset, you know, he's going to want good money. That fight is just too big for the Fox PBC budget. So they had to put the fight on pay-per-view where, they can make money off this fight. This fight's going to sell. You look at the last fight, Wilder Fury 2, that thing pulled over $16 million live gate, and it grossed over $60 million in pay-per-view revenue. So if they can do similar numbers, they can play Wilder Fury their money, and then they can pay the undercard too. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But that's what's going on. Michael Carpenter, again, who writes from The Athletic and Boxing Scene, are both reporting that we're looking at an all-heavyweight pay-per-view going down July 24th, Las Vegas, Nevada, a.k.a. Sin City. Now, Kownacki, in that fight with Helenius, is going to fight like he always fight. He can't really make no adjustment. He just got to be a little bit more solid in his defense. He's never going to be no defensive wizard. He'll never be a Floyd Mayweather. He's going to be a guy that ain't hard to find. You better get your shots off. You better land some shots on him. But he's going to have to, I think he got a little bit too confident in his chin. He got caught with a shot, man. This is the heavyweight division. One shot can take you up out of there. I don't care how strong you think your chin is. So he's got to be a little bit more defensively responsible, bring the pressure like he always do, and basically try to smother the taller, longer range of Robert Helenius. He's a guy that has a longer reach, and he's a taller guy. So you got to get inside and work the body because if you fight him from a controlled distance or a distance where he can extend his arms, he can hurt you like he did in the first fight. So you got to get inside and do the body work and land your shots inside and back him up against them ropes and keep him from letting him get his arms extended. Because if he's able to extend his arms, that's just like Deontay Wilder. You get this guy, get some extension on his shots, he gonna do damage. That's any heavyweight, and that's what Kownacki's got to do. He's got to close the distance and back him up and go to the body. Robert Helenius has got to use that jab and make Kownacki reset and catch him coming in. Catch him just like he caught him in that first fight. Catch him with that straight right hand. If he tries to go away from the right hand, and you catch him with the check left hook. But you've got to use that jab to back him up and keep him at bay. And then when he does try to come in, then you start landing that right hand and try to catch him like you did in that first fight. So it's a intriguing matchup, and it's a good co-main event for Wilder Fury 3, as is Efe Ajagba. I give him credit, man. He's fighting a dangerous guy. He's fighting a guy that's much more fundamentally sound than he is. A guy that's from that Cuban boxing pedigree, a guy that's a very good fighter. Fundamentally sound, got decent power. And if this comes down to a chess match, you got to favor Frank Sanchez. You got to favor him if it comes down to a chess match. Ajagba's got to use his size. He got to use his strength. He got to use that jab. He's not a guy that has a lot of speed behind his punches, but he's a guy that's very strong, a guy that has solid power. He's got to use that jab, and he's going to have to keep the shorter guy at bay. And then when he comes in, you got to make the guy pay. You got to jab, make him reset, and then set that right hand up. You got to hit him with some stuff that can get him up out of there. Because the longer the fight go, I think the worse it's going to be for Efe Ajagba. I think Frankie Sanchez is just a more complete fighter and a more experienced fighter, even though he hasn't had as many fighters as Ajagba. It's just his amateur pedigree coming from the Cuban school of boxing. He's just a more fundamentally sound fighter. So as the fight goes on, he'll be able to exploit a lot of the weaknesses of Efe Ajagba. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. But two intriguing heavyweight matchups in an all-heavyweight pay-per-view fight going down July 24th. And it'll be interesting to see what Jerry Big Baby Miller fights as the opener of the pay-per-view fight. Like I said, he's fighting TBA. So they're going to try to find an opponent for him. Hopefully it'll be a step up from his last fight, which was a step up. And he showed that he is the goods. He showed that he is a guy that's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the heavyweight division for years to come. But they need to, give him another step up. Give him a little bit more. See how he can handle it. But, I wouldn't mind seeing him. Let me just think of some guys off the top of my head that maybe they could put in with Jared Anderson. He's with Top Rank, so I don't know if they'll do a mix-up, a half and half, a Top Rank versus a PBC fight as to open it up, or will they go with this him fighting another Top Rank fighter? Because they got, like I said, they got one PBC fight in Kownacki versus Helenius, and they got one Top Rank fight in Efe Ajagba versus Frank Sanchez. Even though I don't know if Frank is signed with the zone. I seen Frank Sanchez. He fighting all different networks. I seen him fight on Fox. Actually, he fought on that card with Kownacki versus Helenius, the first fight. He fought on that card. But then I seen him fight on the zone, and I might even seen him fight on Top Rank card. He all over the place. So he's got a promoter. I can't remember the guy's name, and he's not a guy with a big name in boxing, so I guess he cuts deal with the best deal he can get for his fighter. If Top Rank got a good deal for him, he'll fight on the Top Rank card. If PBC got a good deal for him, he'll fight on the PBC card. If the Zone, either whether it be Golden Boy Promotions or Matchroom Boxing USA, got a deal for him, he'll fight on the Zone. But that's going to be, I believe, the Top Rank card. So maybe he did sign with Top Rank. That's going to be the Top Rank fight. So we will see what Jared Big Baby Anderson does as the opener. But I would like to put him in there against, you can put him up in there against maybe a Travis Kaufman or Christian Hammer. That'd be a good step up for Jared Big Baby Anderson. There was them a couple of guys. I know Hammer, he fought on the PBC card. He fought Luis King Kong Ortiz. That'd be a good test for him. Maybe a Kaufman or Christian Hammer. That'd be two good fighters that they can get to open up the card versus Jared Big Baby Anderson. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts about this all pay-per-view card going down on July 24th. Las Vegas, Nevada, a.k.a. Sin City. It's going down. Let me know your thoughts and who you like in these particular fights. Who you like in Fury Wilder 3, who you like in Kownacki versus Helenius 2, and who you like in Ajagba versus Sanchez. Who you like in that, and who you would like to see Jared Big Baby Anderson fight in the pay-per-view opener. Who you like? I threw a couple of names out there. Maybe you guys might have some other names that can be a good step-up test for Jared Big Baby Anderson. Let me know your thoughts and hit the like button if you like the content of this video, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, and I'll holler.